Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Ethereum just had a huge drop, but now it is actually starting to be bought back into. We're going to be speaking about that today on our next video. We are doing this today. Don't worry, we'll explain. If you haven't already, do subscribe, drop a comment below, hit the bell, get all the latest news in cryptocurrency metaverse. All right, guys, so some big news is going on with Ethereum. Of course, not just Ethereum, but all of cryptocurrencies around the globe. What's happening exactly today is because of the coronavirus variant in South Africa that kind of helped everybody was freaking out. It's not even just the cryptocurrency investing, it is the stock markets are just plummeting. Even just the stock market alone dropped tremendously. So while we have what's going on now, it is starting to pick back up, and that's a good sign. And so, but we did expect Ethereum to kind of drop a little bit, but then it does set the mood for an actual recovery and going back up as we're speaking right now, right this moment. So as far as Ethereum's going right now, Ethereum is sitting at 4,137. Took a pretty big drop. It is getting bought into. So it's pretty good, and that's what we want to see. So we've had kind of the same thing with the candles here. They were kind of like dropping, getting bought into, and of course when you have a smaller pickup here, of course it's going to get eliminated. It's going to get that set up for it to actually just get crushed. And that's what's happening. And so we need to kind of make that. If you want to look at it in a more positive attitude, it's kind of going just sideways. It's kind of bouncing up and down right now. So it is about the same it was about 4 days ago, right? So about the same price as it was 4 days ago. And that's okay. Because as it's sitting, I mean, it's going to go back up. So it's not going to really like push this big panic. I mean, it is the nature of cryptocurrency, but it does have a retest of support. So that's pretty good. It's not too bad. For the weekly on Ethereum, it is not so, I mean, it's not so bad either. It's not so great, but it's just kind of moving sideways. That's the best way to look at it. It's the best way to really stay positive when we're looking at Ethereum. And that's what we're seeing now and today. And when you compare it to like Bitcoin, for example, and we'll do that right now. When we're comparing it to Bitcoin, that's what we have. Let me remove one of these. So Bitcoin is kind of the same thing. It's honestly, and we'll get to Bitcoin in just a second, but it's still kind of the same. It's kind of following that same nature, right? So Bitcoin's dropping. It's getting bought into. But the thing to remember, though, is that cryptocurrency is taking the whole situation pretty well. And that's a good, important thing to kind of remind yourselves. Now, if you recall, about a couple of weeks ago, Reed exactly said, look, guys, hey, Bitcoin's going to hit about 54, 55, if the best outcome 56. Right? Well, today we're sitting at 54,777. Good numbers, by the way, 777. But that is what's happening. So we did predict it. It is going to actually go down, and it is getting bought into like a little bit here, but that's what we're looking at. And so you're going to see too, we can go back the entire market right now. It's just, it's really just ugly red, but you know, it's going to make that bounce back, right? So everybody's freaking out. Oh my God, coronavirus again. It's the same story we've had for 2 years, right? But it is dropping, and it is going to push other coins. Looking for the Bitcoin for the week, we have the Bitcoin at the week still not doing too great. You can see, honestly, for the past 2 weeks, it actually kind of dropped. It's still doing pretty nasty. Not what we want to see, right? So, in the other news, Cardano. Poor Cardano. Cardano's sitting at $1.56. It is like absolutely trashed. It's just completely trashed out on you guys. So Cardano, even when it was sitting like $3, $3.20, right? So when we had that moment, right? So it was like 3.14 almost. That was the high point. So it kind of like, honestly, that was the time. We spoke when we were talking about this sideways action when it was like really, really boring, how it's very dangerous. And it's not that it was just sideways. It was more at a downward angle, slowly kind of coming in. And that gave the warning because as long as it stayed above or at the medium, it kind of is still dangerous here. But once it dipped, like right here, and below that median, that set us up. And of course, now we had that really great moment where it kind of picked back up right above the median, but it just couldn't hang in there. And of course, it did plummet, and that's where we are now. Now, it is getting bought into like the rest because, of course, when you have that low, if you buy into the low, and that's going to be the big thing here. When you buy into the low, it's going to bring it up. right? But the thing is everybody is just kind of following everyone, and they're seeing that like, oh my god, they're selling, it's dropping, let's sell now, right? And that's kind of creating this huge drop, right? It's what's making this very bearish moments, right? So keep that in mind as well. Now, Solano. Solano also took a big hit yesterday with a big news, right? And the day before that is actually started getting bought into, and then the news happened, right? And it's getting bought into today. But Solana's sitting today at $198.22, right? So it is looking like much better too. Now we are kind of sitting at some good resistance here. We are sitting at it, so it's kind of hanging out, right? So I think it's going to come back up pretty soon too with Solana. So we're gonna watch that. It hit like pretty good. It still hit its all-time high like November 6th, the beginning of November. So it's just kind of correcting itself a little bit. It's gonna go up, but it's still the same. If you notice, it's still kind of some sideways action, right? Up and down, which is the name of the game. So let's go over the market together. As you can see, a lot of red, right? A lot of the weekly red, but it is going to pick back up, and that's what you want to see, right? Bitcoin up for the day 0.01%, right? So not so hot. Ethereum though, and this is what it's showing you. So Ethereum at 1.39% for the day, so it is getting bought into. Relax, and it's only 2.9% for the weekly, which is still pretty good, right? Binance is also doing really good. So at 4.22%, 3.55 for the weekly. So it's also doing pretty well. Now, Solana, as we were just speaking about as well. So for the daily, just the day alone, 4.06%. And for the weekly is at 8.46%. Cardano for the weekly, horrible, 16.32%. But today it is up by 1.59. XRP took a pretty big hit during the week too. And for the daily, it is up 1.72, so we want to see that come back up too, and I believe it will. Polkadot's coming back up at 1.113. We have Avalanche coming back up at 2.64, right? Dogecoin 5.50, right? But they're still kind of all on the same level, right? Like negative 14, negative 11, right? Negative 7, negative 18 for Shiba, but Shiba's actually been dropping like pretty big. So that's like one of the big things that's going on too. Is like when you look at just the market here, it's going to look really bad with the news. That's why it's always important to kind of follow the actual really news that's going on. Crypto.com at 13, like so 7-day, the weekly, fantastic, up 41%. And for the daily alone, 16.18%. It's doing fantastic, right? So you can see that they're actually recovering. Polygons 2 is up 3.69%. Chainlink up 3.68. So a lot of these other coins and these other altcoins, guys, are going up. And that's what you're seeing, right? Axie Infinity's up 1.93%. And we're going to see some more jumps too. Just watch. Filecoin even 8.79. Fixed token, right? It's not so like up, but it is up. Theta is up 3 points, so it's doing pretty good. And you can see that these other coins are actually jumping. The Graph, for example, up 16.31%, right? Doing fantastic. So as you can see, some of the other coins are actually really benefiting from this. Some of them are still taking a hit, but honestly, in the next like week or so, it's going to happen. You're going to see more and more of this. You're going to see more buy-ins into this dips. So just kind of hold your horses a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for you today. Hold your horses. Thank you for joining me. Subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell for all the latest updates. Thank you again, guys.